What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about anger. You know, that emotion that literally triggers you, gets up all these veins up in your neck, and you literally feel like punching somebody right in the face. Now this is a very strong emotion. Like, how do you control it? How do you navigate it? How do you not punch somebody in the face? Even when they trigger you, especially people who are trying to start a fight, or trying to, piss you off intentionally. How do you actually navigate through all this, ups and downs of feeling this emotion? And how do you stay calm even in chaotic situations? Now, what's this entire video to find out? Because I am not going to give you some 5 random tips, 3 tips, or 10 tips for you to, control your anger, because none of them actually work. They may work for a short period of time, but in the long run, you cannot really mitigate anger from your system or from feeling that, because you're a human being. You are supposed to feel angry. If somebody triggers you, you're not a statue. You're not an alien who does not feel any human emotions. At the end of the day, it's an emotion that you need to experience. So instead of trying to mitigate it, you can learn how to navigate through it, how to control it, and how to handle anger in a much more productive and creative way. So why I said I'm not going to give you any tips on how to control your anger is because these tips serve a purpose in helping you control your anger for a short period of time. But how many times are you going to put up that front? How many times are you going to just follow tips to control your anger? Why are you not in that state of calmness? Just by starting out, if you're calm, like naturally calm, you don't have to follow any of these tips. So the thing is, I'm going to give a much more natural approach on how you can actually, navigate this emotion of anger. Now, the first level or the first stage of getting in control of your anger response is being non-reactive. Now, what I mean by this is, let's imagine a situation. Imagine you just going outside and you go use public transport and you just walk inside a train, and let's say you caught the train in the last minute. You go inside, step inside the train, you go catch a seat, and then you're breathing, you're catching your breath because you are in a rush. And then there's a guy who's sitting right next to you, and he just shouts at you. He says things like, "Man, why are you breathing so damn hard?" And then you get triggered. You slash back at him. You shout back at him. You start arguing. Now this starts into an argument. Both of you start arguing with each other. Both of you start shouting at each other, and then end up throwing fists and beating up each other. Now, let's rewind back to the same exact situation. The guy is sitting next to you. He says, "Man, why are you breathing so damn hard?" And calls your mom something. And that time, instead of reacting and matching his level or going down to his level, you stay non-reactive. You just don't respond, and you're calm. Instead of getting all triggered up in your face, and you just look at this in a much more, what you call logical way. You see this from a third person view, and don't let your emotions get the best of you. And when you're non-reactive, right, it puts the other person in a state of shock, because a person who just insulted you or given out some slur at you, realizes that, why is this person not getting triggered? The person has expected you to be angry. The person expected a fight. And when you're so non-reactive, it puts them in a state of shock. And now this alone reduces the impact, reduces the situation to escalate by 85 to 90%. Because when that person is in a state of shock, the person, just doesn't stop being angry, but just ignores you and finds someone else to be angry at. And now the second stage that you can do is the key of awareness, just understanding people's emotions. Because when that person actually shouts at you, right, you are non-reactive in a way. And then you look at the other person and you realize that person is not really angry at you. Something had happened earlier in the day, maybe a week back, or something even years ago. And now that person was containing it, for all this time, all these years, months, weeks. It was compounding just like a snowball, getting bigger, bigger, and bigger. And when finally you came in and you sat, and you caught your breath a little bit harder, you're breathing a little heavy, that triggered that person. It was like that person was expanding, the person's anger was expanding like an hot air balloon, like a huge balloon, and going outside its boundaries and limitations. And you breathing heavily was a needle that just poked that balloon, and now it's exploding. He's just letting out all that pain and all that anger on you. And then you realize, you come into a realization. And when you realize this, when you realize that the person is not actually angry at you, but instead reacting to you, you become much more calm. It's much more easier to get into that non-reactive state, because now you understand the other person's emotions. You kind of understand what area or what direction he's coming from. And with this, you have much more clarity on how to handle the situation and not let your anger get the best of you. Now, this is great. It helps you to understand and not get reactive and not stoop down to the other person's level or match the other person's energy of being angry and starting and creating a fight that you cannot stop or control. Now, just by being non-reactive and being aware of the place the other person's emotions is coming from, you can reduce that state of anger, or the situation getting escalated by about 80%. And then you start to realize that how long can you put up this front, because all of these are just techniques. Being non-reactive and being aware of the other person's emotions and realizing that they're not just angry at you, but they're just projecting their anger onto you. You can do this. It's a great practice. You can keep implementing this. But even you are a human being. How long are you going to keep implementing these techniques and not feel angry? Because up to a certain point you can do this and go on about your day. But then even you are going to start feeling anger. And you are going to hold in this emotion and lash out on somebody else, like how the other person lashed out on you. The actual way that you can be calm and composed in any given situation is actually truly being calm and composed. Because you can put on a front and act like once, twice, thrice, or maybe 5 times. But you cannot really be calm until you're calm on the inside. So that is where the real deal or the real part of this video comes out. Because I never titled this video, or I don't want to give you some tips like 3 tips or 5 tips or 10 tips on how to get rid of anger. Because these are just tips that you're implementing. They're techniques. How long are you going to implement them? Because there is going to be a day that you're going to feel angry. So what are you going to do about that? So that is why the key thing on how you can actually navigate anger is simply by letting go. Now, I know that's a very straightforward statement. It is very hard when you're angry to just sit down, close your eyes, breathe in and breathe out. But there are steps that you can follow to, navigate anger or let go of anger. And the first thing that you can do is channeling your anger into something more productive. Now, instead of going and punching somebody right in the face or beating up people in the streets like you're Batman, you start using your anger to do something productive. Because anger is just a form of emotion, and emotion holds energy. So anger is just a form of energy. And as you heard me say this before, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transferred from one state to another state. So what you're trying to do is channel that anger. Use that anger to propel your trajectory or help you excel in other areas of life. Let's say be more focused, be more determined, and being more hardworking in any area or any passion or hobby that you have. This is a very natural way of transforming that energy. So instead of going out and punching people every time you get angry, you can start punching a punching bag. You can go join the gym, lift heavier weights, and you use that anger to propel into creativity. You can start learning a new instrument, using that focus, using all that energy, determination, and working hard, putting in more effort. This is a very natural way of converting that energy of anger into something more productive. Now, just by doing this, it becomes much more easier and actually helps you to sit down in one place, close your eyes, and actually meditate on this fact. And then when you actually close your eyes, sit down and meditate and thinking about, why am I experiencing anger? Was it something that happened at that moment? Was it something that happened to me yesterday? Was it something that has been inside my mind or inside? Was it trauma that has been there for so many years? And that one situation just triggered this anger that I was holding on inside for such a long, long time. Because most of the time, when you get angry and lash out on somebody, right, it is just a trigger response. You were not really angry on that person. And so all the people who are around you who get angry on you, it is just a trigger response. You were just a reason to break their bubble, and they just lashed out on you. And that is like 99% of the case on why people actually get angry. And this is even you, this is even us, because every time we get angry, right, we don't want to react. We are aware of the situation. And most of the time, we keep holding it inside. There is no natural release of that energy. So you can start releasing that anger that you have by doing other activities. That is why it's so important to have some activities going on. So instead of just going to work, coming back home and sleeping, it is really good to start working on your emotions and having some hobbies and passions, or at least some projects that keeps you focused and help you to let go and transform your emotions or energy into something more productive. Because by doing that, you actually start moving that energy instead of keeping it stagnant, instead of holding that anger inside like a pressure cooker waiting to burst. You start utilizing that anger that you have into other goals in life. Now, when you start realizing this, when you start practicing this on a regular basis, instead of trying to, avoid this emotion, when you're sitting down and meditating, closing your eyes and asking yourself why I'm getting angry, getting into the deep nitty-gritty details of why you're experiencing anger, you start to uncover very uncomfortable things. You have to answer yourself. So instead of shutting down, instead of ignoring it and being, oh my God, I cannot deal with this, opening your eyes and walking out, you embrace it. You may feel very dark thoughts. So instead of ignoring them, you embrace them. Because only when you embrace them, you can know why you're experiencing certain emotions. Or let's say, why were you experiencing anger? Feel it to the fullest. Take it into your heart and feel like it's happening right now. And when you feel it for 100% of its intensity, and now it is much more easier for you to let go of that emotion. You're not so attached to it. You made peace with whatever situation that made you angry. You realize that, okay, yes, that person made me really angry. And instead of trying to go out and take some revenge, everything that you want to go do back to somebody that hurt you is very petty. You're not really going to gain anything out of it, because when you actually hurt back somebody that hurt you, you realize that you're not that happy. It actually makes you feel worse, because you thought by hurting back that person is going to come back and apologize and going to feel sorry for what they did. And even if they do, even if they apologize, you are not going to feel any better, because deep down inside you know that by hurting back that person that hurt you, there's no difference between you and the other person. And now it just goes down like a downward spiral, and you start experiencing all the negative stuff that comes by having this emotion. So instead of hurting somebody back, getting all petty and getting into this revenge plot and stuff, you let go of that emotion. You made a peace with it yourself and start focusing on yourself. Because let me tell you one thing, when you start going and working on yourself and you start improving, you become a better person. And when you start letting go of all these emotions that keep holding you back, you become a better person. And you become so non-reactive. It starts reflecting out on your attitude, on your behavior, and how you react to people. And when you meet the person who hurt you, or caused you fear, or keeps making you angry for certain instances of time, you become non-reactive. You not only become non-reactive and aware of the other person's situation, but you're so out of it. So you let go of the past things that the person has done to you, or the things that happened between you both. And then you kind of become higher than them. And I'm not saying this in a much entitled way. I'm not saying that you have become above that person, but you have so detached from that person's wrongdoings to you, from the person's anger towards you, or you being angry towards them, like they become irrelevant. And you worked on yourself, you worked on your emotions, you let go of all that pain, you let go of all the trauma, you let go of all the things that may trigger you. And due to this, you get awareness, you receive awareness of any given situation. And this makes you non-reactive to any emotional triggers. This becomes non-reactive to anybody else who's trying to trigger you. And at this point, when you see the person who has hurt you, you just don't react, because on the inside, you have let go of that emotion. You have let go of that person. You're so detached from that outcome. You're so detached from the pain, from all that anger. Now you're so non-reactive. And this is when you actually feel good. So when you see the other person who has hurt you and you don't feel anything, you're so over them, that is the best revenge. That non-reactive state. And they become so insignificant. They become so small and irrelevant to you. You're so above them. And I'm not saying this in a very narcissistic way or, superior mentality. I'm saying this in a much more, natural way. And this is when you've achieved a calm-like state, when you've actually let go of all the emotions that start triggering you. Now, nothing makes you angry. You experience anger, but not in chaotic ways. There may be chaotic situations, and you're just so calm. You're so aware because you have let go. You have done deep inner work and let go of all the emotions that keep triggering you. And you're vibrating at a much higher state. And this actually helps you to not only, avoid fights or avoid arguments, but also help in, navigating through problems and, fixing arguments. Let's say you're having an argument with your girlfriend. Let's say you're arguing with a family member. By you being in a calm-like state, letting go of all your emotions, you start reflecting it in your body language, in the tonality of your voice, in your face, your expressions. And by you being so calm, people actually feel the calmness around you. They say that laughter is contagious, right? One person starts laughing in a room, and everybody starts laughing in the room. One person starts clapping, and everybody starts clapping in the room. And you see, that is how emotion actually, passes on from one person to the other person. Even when you go into a train or when you go into a bus, one person starts yelling and being angry. And suddenly, people who are in the state of anger become angry and start fighting with each other. Not everybody throws fists. If you go into a bus and one guy's angry, everybody don't become angry. It's only the people who are already angry. And that was a trigger point for each one of them. So when you are calm and composed, actually on the inside, and let go of all these emotions, you actually start, vibrating on a certain level. And people can pick it up, because as human, we are human beings. We pick up emotional states. We start reflecting. We are very emotional beings. As much as we try to be logical, we are actually very emotional beings. And we start picking up on our surroundings. And when you are so calm and composed, the people who are trying to argue with you, even maybe your family member or your girlfriend, won't be that reactive to you because you're so calm and composed. They may reduce their argument from 100% or their anger from 100% to 60% down to 40%, and eventually dissolving it. And you get that awareness. Now you get the brain to solve the whatever problem or whatever situation that is making each one of you angry. And let me tell you, this does not happen overnight. No, you may have watched this video and be like, yeah, I'm gonna follow this and stop being angry tomorrow morning. And let me break it down to you. Like all great things, this also takes time. So, a tree doesn't grow overnight. So this is a practice that you keep doing again and again and again. Maybe you'll see some changes in a month, but the longer you do it, the better you become at actually navigating and controlling that emotion of anger. Now, all of this is very good advice. Navigating your emotions, controlling them, embracing them, letting go of them, and controlling these emotions in any given situation. No matter how people, how much they try to trigger you, you are in frame, you're calm and composed. All of this sounds great, it sounds amazing, but we live in a society and it's not always sunshine and rainbows. There's also storms, there's rainfall, there's chaos, there's tsunami, there's cold, harsh winter, there are earthquakes and stuff. And then you start to realize that 95% of the population, 95% of us humans are actually easy to deal with, especially when it comes to not being angry and controlling your anger. But then there are certain few people who are just maniacs and psychos. And at a certain point, they start crossing the line, especially when you're out with someone you care about. Some certain people, they cross the line and start endangering the people that you're with. And at this point, being calm, being composed, being non-reactive, being aware, letting go of your emotions and stuff is not good. And that is why I said, don't try to, just eliminate anger from your system. Anger is an emotion. You need that. You are human beings. And this is where you start using anger for what it actually is. Again, I'm not telling you to go start throwing punches at anybody who gets angry. But certain maniacs, they come and start, crossing the line, try to endanger you or the people around you. At that point, there is nothing wrong in trying to defend yourself. You can throw a punch or two, but again, you must not cross that line that makes you no different from the person or that maniac who's trying to hurt you. Now, this is where the fine line comes in. This is where you use anger, for what it actually is. When the person has, some agenda trying to hurt the people you love, you use anger. You try to defend yourself. You throw punches. You let out that monster that's inside you, but you don't let it consume you. You don't let that anger turn to vengeance or revenge. That's what makes a big difference between you and the other person, you and the maniacs, and you and the psychos. Now there's a saying by Bruce Lee. It goes like, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a battlefield. So what that means is, you have to be well equipped. You have to be well equipped to handle any given situation. It is not just letting go of your emotions and living this positive life. Even if you're trying to be that Zen-like monk or that Zen-like higher vibrational being, there are people who will not allow you to go in your path. They're not so easy to deal with. There are certain situations and challenges that comes up in life. As I said, life is not a straight line. There are certain challenges that come up in life. There are ups and there are downs, and you have to navigate them. And you can only navigate them if you're actually prepared for it, if you're equipped with it. And that's why I say, don't be a nice guy. If you're a nice guy, you're so innocent and naive. All you people who are watching this video and my channel, I don't want you guys to be nice guys. I don't want you to be nice persons. I want you to be a good person. Because a good man is a very dangerous man who has everything under voluntary control. A good person is a very dangerous person who has everything under voluntary control. I want you guys to be very dangerous, but who has complete voluntary control and only uses them in situations when they call for it. So guys, in summary, don't let anger get the best of you, but instead Learn how to navigate, let go of it, but not eliminating it, because anger is a very important or essential emotion for a human being. Because sometimes you can use anger for what it actually is. You can defend yourself or your loved ones and actually throw some punches, without feeling guilty about it. And that's it from me, guys. Hope you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.